Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the post-game show wrap-up and analysis from Beyond the Summit. I'm LD, he's godzz, and we're David and David. Godzz, unfortunately for North American Dota fans everywhere, it is LGD who move on today.
Unfortunately indeed, but I think American and Western Dota fans will just be happy to have gotten to see an EG in this tournament, a tournament that was geared towards the Asian teams. EG said, no, we'll man up, we'll play at 5 in the morning, we'll play on Asian servers, and they entertained, without a doubt, from the epic games against Fumofu's team to the really strong performances against Tongfu, and here today against LGD. They really put up a great showing throughout this entire G1 League tournament.
I completely agree with you. And speaking of the entire tournament, I think it's a great time for us, before we break down today's analysis, just to give everyone a quick update on where we are in the brackets right now. We're done with the online playoffs, and godzz, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have about a week break before the LAN finals. And as far as those LAN finals go, it's IG versus LGD on one side of the bracket, and it's DK versus Orange on the other. All Asian teams, 3 Chinese, but we do have Orange as that Southeast Asian representative.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. The 2 teams from the winner bracket, IG and DK, do start up with a 1-game advantage in a best of 5 against those 2 teams. The grand finals, I think, is just a straight best of 5 with no advantage. So be interesting to see how things unravel at that LAN finals. And the countdown is on. It starts in 9 days. It starts next Saturday on the 17th of November. So, guys, set your timers, start the countdown yourselves. But I'm really looking forward to see how that goes down.
I can't wait until we're done with the post game and I put up that countdown until the next set of matches. And it says like 7 days, and people just come into the stream chat. What the hell is going on? Is this stream going to be up for 7 days straight? No, guys, it won't. The countdown is just there to let y'all know what's going on. But, godzz, if we talk about these playoff brackets, well, actually, before we do, let's break down this match a little bit. Let's talk about how LGD fared against EG. And I think a great place to start is going to be in that game number 1. For once, the highlights are ready. Unfortunately, we just can't squeeze them in between games, but they're ready now. Let's cut to the highlights. Let's see how LGD took this game number 1. Pulling him into the tower. Here comes Yao. This could be a big kill. Repel onto maelk. Boots not up on Yao, but they get the trade. Now Demon in trouble. Locked in range as the tower dropping low. In comes DDC. The cavalry have arrived. SC is here. The Knights. Bit of a pickle, and that slithering snake doing his best to escape. Here comes another ice pen. It will hit. Down he goes. LGD, they dropping low, will die. One more zip, maybe not. No, surviving, and then burned down by DDC. Slardar was very survivable, but just not able to pull it off there. TP and torch the top lane. Here comes alive. Ice pad hitting 3. Actually, might have hit 4 there. Jeyo dropping low. In comes Lifestealer. Jeyo might be the first one to drop. No, it's Yao taking tons of damage. The heal bomb turns it around. Omni Knight with the max repel sent back to base. The low Chaos Knight. First one to drop repel into Jeyo, trying to keep him alive. Now the track on the fear, slowed by the open wounds. Everybody and their mother escaping. bdiz is going to get the tower. Now the storm comes. Once the backlines, once the squishy support, bdiz will drop. Can they get maelk as well? Nope. Jeyo too low on mana, so they lose them from even with track. Fear. Oh, with the slither crush, maybe the delay factor in there. Now the turnaround ice pack on 2. The burst damage from LGD. EG getting picked off. Unfortunately, that crush misses. Fight easily could have gone the other way. Now getting chaotic as Jeyo jumps in from the back lines. Has used the Phantasm. The illusion looks to have died off. Xiaowei pulling him back in. Jeyo is dropping. Jeyo might die. Stun. Not enough. Xiaowei to live. Sylar comes back into the fight, working on fear. Trap gold galore. And the E just popped. EG, a bit of a collapse for them. Can he get away? I don't know that he can. Crush is going to win. Look at the spread from EG. Surrounding him, but not standing next to him. He'll be brought down. No! Demon with the heal bomb. Turns it around, and the repel, the track removed. Demon may pay for this with his own life, but at least sets up that kill, at least limits the damage. Fear can come back in, blink in. Where's that crush? Where's that crush? Not yet. Beautiful crush. Catches the 2 frontliners. Demon still alive. Repel. What's the TP in 4 seconds? This gonna happen in 3. I don't think he gets out here. No, too much first. Oh, God.
Wow.
LGD have a pipe. They have all those support, all those pushing items, but they don't right now. Here comes jeyo. He's infested. Zip in. One speed is first. Rage Lifesteal to bring him down. Now onto Fear. Looking like a bad fight for EG. Fear being focused. Just kidding. It's team and they won. It's team and they'll get. Fear to drop low. On the back lines, it was the Chaos Knight who fell as well. A big zip from jeyo. It was this extra layer, which I felt was really creative. Bounty Hunter, well, that's predictable, that's expected. Just a great hero all around the off-play. But the keeper getting the Storm Spirit and the Lifestealer, the magic immunity from the Lifestealer, making it very hard for chain stunts to be able. Well, lost gods there. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was game number 1 between LGD and EG. Gods, it really played out as we talked about in the pregame. LGD, if they saw the Knight strat developing, they would prioritize the great counter-pushing supports, the Jakiro, the Keeper of the Light, and I think I forgot to unmute you, so let me do that right now. And that's exactly what they did in that game.
It's all right. I forgot to unmute myself. Luckily, I remember when you reminded me. But yeah, strong counter-pushing supports. It just really... EG, what do you do? Even if they get the DK there, they ban out the DK knowing it's what EG wants their solo mid. EG themselves ban out the lone druid with their own ban, but even if they get one of those 2 heroes for their pushing lineup, I don't think it matters, even if EG get their full strategy. So they were prepared for it. They knew it was coming. They said, Keeper of the Light, we'll get it right. As soon as they see CK Leshrac, they know it's coming. So they prepare right off the bat, and they played it well. They just farmed up their supports, whereas EG, their support sort of fell behind a bit. And come mid-game, once those team fights rolled around, EG were just too far behind. They didn't really have a backup plan to take it late game.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I also want to credit LGD for that extra level of drafting where, you know, it was sort of expected, right, that they're going to pick the Jakiro, they're going to pick the Keeper of the Light. Frankly, a little surprised EG didn't think about banning one of those out, but as we saw in game number 2, that leaves heroes like Darkseer open. But the extra level of drafting was really what separated LGD's draft and impressed me was... You know, well, we'll talk about the role adjustments in a second, but getting the Lifestealer Storm Spirit, they needed heroes that could just burst down the squishier backlines. The Omni Knight, the Leshrac, and the Chen. And these two, they bypass the frontline defenses of the Slardar, of the Chaos Knight. They get right into the backlines, and they just cleaned up.
Yeah, it really worked out well as a nifty little way of finding those pickoffs, getting those kills. Something LGD don't always prioritize. They, in the past, have played more just with the hard carry type lineups. But no, here today, it was a different LGD. LGD, mentioned earlier, new roles, new beginning, possibly going to be showing a completely different set of strategies going into the LAN finals in about 9 days' time. So really excited to see what they can come up with against IG there.
I agree, and well, unfortunately, guys, Dota 2 is not cooperating. Can't roll the highlights for game number 2 yet. We'll see if we can get them up before the end of the post-game, but while we're trying to work on that, Gods, let's look forward. I think it's time to do it towards the LAN finals. Let's look forward and kind of see how these matchups are going to break down. So we have IG, LGD on one side of the brackets, and we just saw LGD play today. I think the biggest thing worth discussing is the role adjustments, throwing jeyo as the solo mid, as the pace setter for this team, putting Yao as that suicide lane player. What do you think of the change?
I think it's a good change. I think it suits LGD more. I just worry about going up against IG, going up against either IG or DK, both Ferrari and Super in that mid lane. Probably just a bit better control over the mid lane, more proficient at last. Hitting, harassing, just more comfortable there, jeyo. He's not his laning. I'd say it's very good. I mean, it's obviously some of the best in the world being on LGD, but his ability comes in when it comes to the mid game. Also, not really even before the mid game kicks in. Once he hits level 6, level 7, his movement around the map is really smart, and he'll set the tempo a lot better than those players. But he may fall behind early. And I think that's something for IG that's going to be crucial. Is to get that early lead against LGD, because they fell behind against Orange. And if something like that happens against LGD aren't a team to throw away a lead.
Yeah, they're not gonna make mistakes from playing too much Heroes of No Earth, like not using BKBs or whiffing black holes. I'm just kidding, of course. We're gonna see a much higher level out of Orange in the LAN finals. But you know what, jeyo, maybe we wouldn't say he lacks in mechanical skill, but Ferrari is sort of at that god tier where he's just incredibly strong at controlling the mid lane. And the same for a player like Mushi. But at the same time, you know, I think he's good enough that maybe it just comes down to something like a smoke gank from a jungle here or from one of the supports. I don't think he's so far behind that he'll just get completely overwhelmed. It's more just maybe he needs just a bit of a kick in the butt. Get him through the lady stage, because come mid-game, I would say his decision-making is second to no one in China. He's up there with YYF. He's equivalent, if not better, to all of the players on IG at just making all the right decisions in the late stages of the game. That's how we saw them take that game 1 off of DK. It came on the backs of team-wide excellent global decision-making. You don't beat DK in a 90-minute game without pristine late-game decisions.
Yeah, and I think something that that sort of could give LGD a slight advantage is today's games. It shows that LGD maybe not all that predictable. If they have the ability to pull out the Storm Spirit and Lifesteal, IG are going to be going into that game thinking, what are they actually going to be looking to pick? Maybe they expect LGD to keep running Xiao 8 in that mid lane, but as far as hero picks go, this isn't the same LGD from TI2 where they ran the same strategy over and over again. Even once they started dropping games to Nav v IG, they still stuck with that one strategy which worked for them. So this versatility, as far as picks go, as far as roles and lanes go, I think is going to benefit them against IG, who often look to punish the fact that they can research teams they're going up against and know how they like to play.
I completely agree with you. And LGD, you know, one thing that should be mentioned, hoping to get Brex in here for an interview, but did have a chance to talk to him for a couple of hours yesterday. Or not yesterday, the day before, actually. And one of the things he mentioned is that, oh, I lost you. There you go. I was trying to actually message him to see if he's available for that interview. But one of the things that Brex talked about was LGD went on a bit of a vacation after the International 2, and maybe that was the rust. Maybe that's why we're seeing them not really perform up to standards, up to expectations. They had what appears to be a longer break than what IG and what DK had after the tournament. Maybe that's why, you know, maybe that's part of the reason why they were struggling. Obviously, they're a bit younger, a little bit more inexperienced than those other top Chinese teams, and not quite as much star power. So you could argue that's the real reason, but they really do seem to be adjusting now. IG is obviously a step above anyone in the world coming into this match. Sure, you shut down EG, that's expected, especially with the pin advantage, especially with lots of time to prepare. And EG, although they have these very creative pocket strategies, they've shown their hands coming into this match. IG may have pocket strategies, but even if they don't, they're just so damn versatile, you never really know what IG is going to do.
Yeah, IG have the ability to play so many heroes, play so many different styles. They went from playing the hard carry to playing this super aggressive style. They have the ability to just play from behind as well. They showed that against Orange Esports. Their late game patience and decision making is spot on, even when they aren't the ones in control of the game, which happens oh so rarely. So it's tough. It's really a matchup where you've got to favor IG, especially with that one game advantage they get there coming from the upper bracket in one sense of the word. It's going to make it really tough for LGD to win a best of 5 when they're already down 1-0.
It's going to be tough, and I'm glad you brought that up. There is a one-game advantage from everything we've been reading on the Chinese websites on 17173.com, which is one of the sponsors and partners and promotional allies for this event, for the G1 League, is the one-game advantage. That's definitely a factor. The nice news is it's a best out of 5, so it's not you lose one game and you're down 1 in a best out of 3, you're out of the tournament. It's you lose one game, now your backs are up against the wall. But I don't see LGD winning this series if they lose game 1. That gives IG 3 chances to get a single game, and frankly, there's a good shot they could just 2-0 LGD and knock them out of that winner's bracket, out of having a chance at first place in the event in 2 quick games. But if LGD win game 1, then it's a wide open series, and they're going to have confidence, they're going to have some momentum heading into game number 3.
Yeah, I think that's a key thing. Just get off to a good start, and then, hey, who knows what can happen. Maybe you get that big upset. Maybe you just get a bit of it's more a moral victory than more than anything. It's like, okay, we can do this. IG is somewhat untouchable, but they're a team that can be beat as well. They're also human.
They absolutely are. And, well, gods, let's move our attention to talking about this other matchup on the bottom side of the bracket. It's the one non-Chinese team that's made it this far. Everything pretty much as expected. There were some slightly unusual results in the group stages, but everyone who looked at this roster of teams would have said, yes, it's going to be IG, DK, LGD, and Orange who make it into the finals based on their International 2 performances, based on the star power of the new DK lineup, based on IG just being the top dogs in the world coming into this event. No real surprises as far as the Final Four. The road maybe took some twists and turns, but it's DK versus Orange, and it's a bit of a new DK in this matchup.
Yeah, it is a new DK, bringing in two new players from the old E-Home has really brought some new life to the team in those support roles, and their movement around the map, their positioning behind Burning, working with Burning, as well as Super in that mid lane, has really been amazing to see how DK has grown just from the start of this tournament. They dropped that first game to Orange, but to me, that's kind of like, whatever. That was a game where they just got completely outdrafted. They didn't really think everything through with the tiny wisp, which they picked up as their first two heroes. And I think they're looking like maybe a team that can compete and contest IG for that title.
If we actually break this matchup bet down a bit farther, as far as like, let's look towards DK and Orange. What kind of heroes, what kind of style are we going to see? Orange is generally very predictable in a sense. You know, it's Mushi on a Queen of Pain, it's Mushi on a Templar Assassin, it's Yamate on, well, not the Leshrac. Recently, it's been the Naga or the Chaos Knight, the Bounty Hunter, often, almost always the offlane choice. If it doesn't get banned, which all four of these teams likely either to ban or first pick that based on what we've seen, but any sort of key hero strategies that we can expect to see out of DK or Orange?
I think Orange are a team who always have a pocket strategy here or there, and that's something which I don't know if DK will be ready for. Orange, especially when they verse MUFC, every now and then they'll just pull out something a bit wonky, whether it's something like a quad lane, which we saw MUFC do. Orange have done that a couple times themselves. I think Orange have the potential to, at least one of the games, run something, whether it's a level 1 Roshan, something unorthodox. Apart from that, they're very predictable, but it's just whenever they do pull out their pocket strategies, there's something they've really thought through properly. I think Extinct is just one of the most underrated and amazing captains in Dota at the moment.
And, you know, one thing that really impressed me was I talked a lot about his Chen and how I still believe his Chen is the best in the world. You could argue that some other players from Europe are on his level, players like Ake and, of course, Puppy, but to me, he's second to none in the Asian scene. Chuan plays a pretty decent jungle Enchantress. That's something we haven't seen out of IG lately, though, is the jungle play from Chuan. It doesn't seem like they need it, but Extinct had a hell of a support game as a laning support, showing that he's a complete player, the complete package as far as captains and as far as support players go. And, you know, that gives them some versatility I think they really need when they're dealing with a team like DK.
Yeah, against DK, who just plays so solid in every single position, with Super at the mid lane, who's been playing, I'd say, better than any other solo in this in this tournament. Maybe bar Mushi as far as laning goes, but Super's late game decision making has been a level above Mushi's, as far as I'm concerned. And the only rule I'd say slightly weak link on occasion has been ROTK, but the last few series against LGD, he played amazing in that offlane. So I'd say DK are really coming together in every single position.
I agree with you, and I'm glad you brought up Super. We saw that epic ultra kill from him, even in the game that they ended up losing, in that 90-minute, just absolute monstrosity of a performance. But Super was pristine in that game. It was the rest of the team, which at times just, honestly, it got to that point in the late game where it was anybody's game, and LGD just had the better position to take it, having that early Rax advantage, and they did. But Super playing well, that puts a lot of pressure on Orange. Orange almost always, when they win, it's Mushi dominating his lane and getting the early advantage. They can't afford for him to fall behind a Super. If he gives up an early kill, if maybe a couple ganks fail on Super and Super starts creating opportunities on the other sides of the map, I think Orange, a bit more than DK, are relying on Mushi on their solo mid compared to how much DK rely on Super.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. There's a lot of pressure on Mushi. Yamate in that safe lane's been playing well, but he's never really carried a lot of the weight. He's had solid games, but he's never had standout games where he's just really stepped it up and done what Burning has done on that carry role. So for Orange, it's really going to be a step up from him. And another interesting thing is whether or not Ice will actually be at those LAN finals, whether it's KYXY or him who's going to be going. I know the Singaporean players with the national service commitments and various other things. Maybe his Hon commitments with the SmackDown against Team Impunity. Who knows? If Ice is there, I'd say Orange have a chance and are looking like a strong team to be. I think Ice in that offlane can really shoulder some of that burden. Sometimes he plays maybe in a 1v1 matchup and he does really well with some flashy plays. So he's a key player for them now all of a sudden, and I'd love to see him continue playing with Orange.
Yeah, you know, and he's also kind of a boom or bust player. We've seen some great games from him, especially versus DK in their group stage match, which for anyone who didn't catch it was a 1-1 split, but we've also seen those head scratchy moments, you know, where you have the airball black holes. Ice still sort of adjusting to this offlane role, and his hero pool not necessarily as comfortable on, I think, more of the team fight oriented, the less mobile squisher heroes. seems like he's much stronger on heroes like Bounty Hunter, who, arguably the best offlane hero in the game right now, in the current metagame anyway. But, heroes that can be aggressive, heroes that are going for kills, heroes that aren't as much like all or nothing with hitting a big ult, having a big team fight.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. You have to have something a bit more conservative with Ice. The Enigma Black Hole was just something I remember reading on Team Liquid. It's like, he's like, I was just sitting there laughing on Skype, like, and the rest of my team were like looking to complete. I mean, it wasn't a one fight. Orange ended up winning that fight, but it was by no means it's an easy fight for them to win. Mushi had to buy back and everything, and he's just like, well, I screwed up my part, but luckily Mushi carried them through. And that's going to be something which won't work against DK, won't work against IG or LGD. It has to be everyone pulling their weight.
Absolutely. Well, guys, the highlight's still not ready. 27% to go, which means it's going to be another 5-10 minutes. So I think we're just going to skip the highlights for now, to be totally honest with y'all. It's been a long couple of weeks, but if you want to catch those highlights, they will be available in the replays. For anyone who has the in-game ticket, a good reason to go support the G1 League, go support the Chinese organizers, and get them. Gods, I think that wraps it up pretty much for our analysis of these matches. Now it's time for predictions, which we forgot to do today. What are your predictions for these matches? IG versus LGD. Let's start there.
I'm predicting a 3-0 for IG. I don't want it to be a 3-0, but that's what I think it'll be.
Yeah, coming out with a vengeance, coming out strong, and playing it safe. I'll say 3-1. I think LGD will pull a game off them, but you can't go against IG on LAN. They've been not only dominated at the International too, but for those who don't follow Chinese Dota, they've won every LAN event leading up to it and since then, pretty much. I can't really think of any they didn't win. Coming into the event, they won Ace League. Actually, that was right after the International, but they won Ace League. They won WCG China. They did lose a game here or there. They lost a group stage game to DK. They went down 0-1 in their best out of 3 grand finals at WCG China. This was in Dota 1, but nonetheless, in the end, they pulled it back. They won 2-1. So every time they played fellow Chinese teams on LAN, they're winning these games, and nothing has changed with this team. It's the same roster. It's the same roles. It's the same, well, for the most part, the same game. The Dota 1 was 6.74B, but it'll be 6.76 the rest of the way. So I got to go with you on that. I will favor IG as well. DK versus Orange. What are we expecting out of this match?
If Ice is playing, I think DK win at 3-2. If it's KYXY, I think DK win at 3-1.
Yikes. KYXY. And again, this isn't really an indictment of him as a player as much as it is him he doesn't fit in with the team when they have Yamate and Mushi playing.
Yeah. It's nothing against him. I think he's a very underrated and amazing solo mid player. But it's Mushi who plays the solo mid, or even Yamata. Those two players who switch between the carry, the safe lane carry, and the solo mid. They need an offlane player, and that's Ice. So I think they're just stronger with Ice in that role.
Well, guys, that wraps it up. There you have it for the predictions. I'm going to go with... I guess I need to make my prediction about DK versus Orange. I'm going to say that Yamate shows up and has some epic games on LAN. We're going to see the Leshrac come out from him. It'll be the Leshrac sort of rebirth and rise to prominence. And I'm actually going to say Orange take it 3-2. I'll probably be wrong. DK should be favored in the series, but Orange, they really do step the game up at LAN, and they've got the big players. They've got the big-time experienced LAN veterans, top-tier level skill where they can win these games late. They just got to start off hot. But DK will be the heavy favorite, so I'm going to go out on a limb there and say I'm rooting for Orange. I'm expecting them to take this 3-2, although deep down, it probably will be DK who takes it.
Yamata really does step his game up on LAN, so I think if it's any team to cause an upset, it's going to be Orange. And against a team it's against DK, I feel even if they're up against IG, they could cause an upset just because of how well they did last time round. That would give them a big boost to get some revenge, to take them down. So Orange are a team who I think could go far, even compete for that championship title. It'll be really interesting to see if they do that. Another thing, on an unrelated note, guys, for those of you who want to, we're trying to get these highlights up. For those of you who want to get yourselves on a G1 League Pass but can't fork out the $7 or $8 it is, we'll be giving away some on the Facebook and Twitter of the Beyond the Summit channel. So check out the Twitter, which is twitter.com/BeyondSummitTV, or Facebook, facebook.com/BeyondTheSummitTV. I'll be doing some giveaways later today and tomorrow with the LAN playoffs coming up. I think I've got 7 or 8 of them to give away. So follow us, like us on Twitter. whatever it is, and follow the stream as well. There'll probably be some for the stream as well. And even if not for the stream, just follow us so you know when we go live. Some statistics for us to help us grow as a channel, as a broadcasting partner for these Asian events. It really helps just having those statistics there to say, look at this is how many people follow the stream. This is how much of an audience we have, guys. So I love how many people are tuning in every day, even for when the game ends, LD. Like, we're just sitting around chatting about the games, doing some post-game analysis, and there's still so many people supporting us.
Yeah, we're really grateful, and of course, you know, if it's not even about us, it really is about these teams and just you guys wanting to get every last sliver of information and content related to them. It's all about the players, and of course, everyone should be supporting them. If you're not already doing so, go check out LGD. They have a Facebook, they have a Twitter, the same, of course, for Evil Geniuses, all their players. I mentioned it earlier in the broadcast. You can follow them. A lot of these Chinese teams, and even Orange, well, Orange has a pretty big Facebook page, but they should have more followers than they do on Facebook, on Twitter, and maybe GoDz can collect those links. But we're going to cut to the highlights now. They are finally ready to go. Gosh darn it, I wish they were a bit faster. But ladies and gentlemen, here is your game number 2, LGD versus EG highlights. Thank you all for tuning in. After these highlights, we'll be done for the post-game analysis. We appreciate your support. Thanks for the love, and we'll see you next week when it will be the playoffs kicking off, the LAN finals, the $53,000 of total prizes on the line. LGD, IG, DK, and ARDS. These are your final 4 teams. One last look at the playoff brackets, and then we're going to cut to the highlights. Just kidding. There's the snap. There's the kill. Blinking from fear. Wants to go for the solo kill, and Xiaowei turns around. Voice of it club. He's really more of just a wrecking ball. EG have blunted the aggression as far as gold experience goes. A bit behind. Fear's going to get caught. Xiaowei clubbing on him. Really needs to earn to secure this kill. I think Fear will be able to blink away here. Needs to blink the right way over the tree line. No! Xiaowei clips him. Oh, Fear just waited a second too long. Pays with his life. Meanwhile, top lane, the spam to die as well, so EG finally kill. Way to pay ult, hits 3 by Fear. Isn't enough though, back in. They're fighting in the macro fire. They're fighting in the flames, and they're living. They're dying so long before they drop, but they will finally fall. Yao dropping low. How is this fight not going worse for LGD? Now it starts to. Yao thrown up in the air. Can track be stolen? Unfortunately, that ult isn't pulled out. Yao going in mid. Yao to escape 3 for 3, and how many track kills? This fight, oh God, can you believe it? It looked so promising for Fear.
It really did. He almost managed to get as many pickups as he could. The silence from Xiaowei coming from the background just proved to be too much. Demon now going to go down as well by the looks of things. LGD, so much track build there. That's the real...
Gonna be assassinated. Oh, just so much burst. So much burst physical damage and a 1300 damage crit. maelk next in line. LGD diving the fountain. Something you'd expect to see out of EG if anyone. It's brutal.
Think of the children. Think of the children, LGD.
That just happened. Oh, they're not even getting crits all the time. So much physical damage. GoDz. I think a lot of people on the stream, probably more than half, rooting for the North American representing. It's just the Panda dies in ult for just a few auto tags. So much first. A lot of people out there are going to be sad we won't have a Western representative at those LAN finals. But what we will have is a very impressive LGD team who I think may have just found the new roles that are going to suit them in this patch.
Yeah, this is LGD looking to play pretty damn well. They're going to be going up against a team.
Guys, GoDz has left me. He's now some stardust for y'all. But I just wanted to remind everyone, we are done with G1 League until next week, but we're not done streaming. There will be other events. GEST Dota 2 should be kicking off again for the playoffs sometime in the next week or so. We'll be casting WCG China for Dota 2. There will be some events in the future, so really, if you're not already doing so, make sure you're following myself. Facebook, twitter.com/ldDOTAGodzs, Facebook, twitter.com/ggnetgodz, and of course, Beyond the Summit. Click follow on the stream. and you'll get email updates whenever we go live. Also, facebook.com/beyondthesummittv, or beyond facebook.com/beyondthesummit, I believe, and twitter.com/beyondsummittv. God's put the links in chat, so you can find them there, but we will be casting more stuff, just not G1 for the next week. So anyway, thank you again for all tuning in. We love you guys. We appreciate the support, and until next time, this is LD and Ethereal Stardust Gods signing off.